Hello, hello. Good evening. Good evening. You also thank you for joining again today and hopping on this evening for our math mindset reset. So the whole goal is that everyone, every time we connect, right, we're clear on small adjustments that we can do that'll yield and benefit us with big gains, with some great gains. That's always the goal. So specifically, today's topic is breaking barriers, math confidence through conversation. So I'm so excited really to just dive into this topic and listen, to dive into this topic with you because whether you are a parent, an educator, or someone, who's just a fellow mathlete, you're just passionate about math education, this session is for you. So we're going to do something a little bit different towards the end, right? We get into it. I'm going to play devil's advocate to address some of the common pushbacks, right? When we're having this conversation and talking about that integration, putting together math instruction with SEL, that social emotional learning. Y'all, we're going to bust up some myths, okay, and barriers together. While you are here, thank you again for tuning in. Please do drop a wave or a hey right in the chat and let me know where you're joining from. And if you've caught any of this month's streams, we're going to talk about just the overviews and some of the takeaways that have been communicated from the previous streams, okay? But again, thank you so much. Again, drop a hand wave or a hey and let me know where you're joining from. So super quickly, as we're looking at the different themes and kind of the takeaways and topics from this month. So far, we focused on just the integration, the importance of math being integrated with SEL, right? And why SEL belongs in the math classroom, believe it or not. So we've talked about and explored how confidence grows. Just truly blossoms when we create safe spaces for students to make mistakes because they're going to make mistakes. So when we make it safe, right? And also those math talks. So just making sure, yes, we're talking about math, but we're being super specific, very intentional in how we're talking about math and when. Just see that it is really and truly any and everywhere because all of that promotes critical thinking and fluency. Okay, so some of the hesitation sometimes, right? We've heard things like, well, SEL, that's just another trend. Here we go, something else. Someone says, Anika, I don't have time for that, right? We have everything else we need to teach. I don't have time. Or this is probably should have said this one first. Anika, you should have led with that one, right? Math is about numbers, not feelings. All these things, right? We've heard these are the top ones. Right, math education is critical. I see some comments, some people chiming in from New Orleans, from Philly. Thank you all for joining. You all. So we're getting into the devil's advocate time, right? Myth versus fact. So let's go ahead. We said we're going to bust them up. We're busting myths and making sure we're clear about the facts. So as we shake it up, I'm going to address some common objections, things that we hear all the time, but we're going to make sure that we counter them. We talk about it with research, right? Speaking of not feelings, with facts, with research, with real world examples, and some actionable strategies. So, number one, people say, SEL is just a distraction from the academics. It's something else to do. It's a distraction. So the fact is, studies show that integrating social emotional learning, right, aka SEL, also known as SEL, into instruction daily and regularly actually improves academic outcomes. On average, SEL skills help academics grow by an average of 11%, and this is for math. So SEL is an extra, it's essential, especially when they did an analysis, right, where it was some students were being exposed to some of the SEL strategies and practices in math class, and other students were not. You have your control group, and then your group that you did something special. The something special was the group that experienced SEL in math class, and they outpaced their peers by an average of 11%, okay, in math. Myth number 2. And y'all let me know. Y'all let me know if you knew this, if this is surprising to you. Please do chime in. Let me know. Myth number 2. So students just need to memorize formulas, not talk about it. We don't have time for them to talk. They just need to memorize what's going on. So the fact is, memorization without understanding is like building a house on sand. I'm going to say that again. Memorizing things without understanding is like building a house on sand. So the foundation is going to crumble, right? It's going to get really rickety, really raggedy. It's going to get shaky. And think about it. If you're honest, a lot of people, unless you are a math educator, a mathlete, you're just truly passionate about math, there's some random strategies that you can think of that you remember from math class, but you have no idea what to connect it to, right? Sometimes when people try to push the memorization, or they push the well, this is when you use this strategy and it's super clear in the adult's mind. Oh, you only use this for multiplying or dividing, or you only use this to subtract. Subtract what? Are we subtracting whole numbers? Are we doing integers? Are we doing fractions? The young people don't know, and so stuff gets done and mixed up all over the place, right? They're using the wrong memorization technique at the wrong time because they don't know when, because not enough context was built. So when we talk about math and SEL strategies to help students, it helps them to articulate their reasoning. So they're practicing and, yes, explaining. And if you can explain it, that means you understand, right? And that strengthens their comprehension and their retention. That, can y'all tell that was a really big deal for me, that one, the memorization thing, because the kids will say, well, I don't know if this is right, or I think I'm supposed to, and it was something about you carry this part, and I don't know if I'm supposed to and it's just all mixed up because there was not enough context provided, just memorization, do this, add this, multiply that, boom, pow, watch me now. Okay, so we're making sure we're providing context because that's extremely critical. Myth number 3, you all, we don't have enough time for this. Listen, incorporating SEL does not have to take extra time. We can use math sentence stems during discussions that build SEL and math fluency simultaneously. It's about being intentional with what you're already doing. So never something new. That's never the plan. That's never the goal. That's not the move. Never something new. It's about being intentional with what you're already doing. People that I talk to a lot, y'all know that I say both and all the time. So it's not, okay, we're going to do SEL and then math. We're doing both and. We're putting them together. It's a true integration. So yes, you have time. Y'all, which of these myths, are there any of these myths that you've heard before? Maybe you've said them. Drop in the chat and let me know. We're going to do a little bit of a flip the script, okay? Math and SEL challenge. So let's say we have a common math problem. Y'all like, wait a minute, I didn't get on here for you to give me a math quiz. Like, you got it though. I promise you got it. Here we go. So this math problem, we're imagining, it says Jenny has 3 apples. She buys 4 more. How many does she have now? Right? So if we're doing an integration, math meets SEL, right? We're actually putting them together. We would ask the students to write about, how can we figure out how many apples she has in total, right? Can you explain it to her, how many apples she has in total? And then listen, especially the older we get, we have lots of strategies. Show me using a number line. Show me using skip counting. Show me and just let them go and let them roll with it, right? Definitely stretching. We're doing different types of learning styles. They're writing about it. They're telling you, and they're creating their own visuals, right? Especially if you tell them which tool you want them to use. So that is one of the ways that math meets SEL. So it doesn't have to be anything crazy. It doesn't. Because again, if they can explain it, you got them to solve the problem anyway. How would you solve it? How would you do it? They explain it, and then so they did it. How about that? So y'all, this simple shift, and y'all like, that wasn't, I know it wasn't anything radical. Again, that's not the goal. It's never the goal. This simple shift from asking for the answer to asking for their reasoning How do you know? Why? How? Right? That it builds confidence, it encourages communication, and it develops their problem solving skills. So, if you have your rephrased version, how would you explain that? Right? How would you explain it? Again, if the question is, Jenny has 3 apples. She buys 4 more. How many does she have now? Yeah, what are some of the ways? Think of all the different ways, just how creative. Think about, especially a lot of these examples we've been given are for like our K2, preschool, kinder, right through about second grade, building their confidence and their explanation and their calculations. That's what we need. We talk about a foundation of math. A lot of it comes from being confident and being okay if you make mistakes. Like the earlier we can learn and lock in that lesson, we're building mathletes. We're building superstars, truly. Okay. You all, from here, the very last thing we're going to talk about is really just letting you know, I'm giving you all a little bit of a heads up. So I do have some students that I do work with directly, right? Not just to keep my skills sharp, but just to always check in, right? Doing my SEL thing with them as well while we're practicing everything from one more, one less, all the way up to my young people for algebra, okay? Now, one thing that has been coming out, especially this time of year, a lot of young people were doing benchmark testing. We might have semester exams. We're starting to do MAP testing. A lot of districts do MAP, right? So it's the middle of the year MAP assessment. So the kids are a bit overwhelmed sometimes with some of these assessments, some of these tests. So the SEL part showed up, and guess what? Yeah, we're releasing in this next week, because it's ready already. All right. In this next week, we're going to go ahead and release to you all a test anxiety bingo board. Okay. We have an elementary version and we have a secondary version. So, about K to 3, K to 5, and then 6 through 12. Now you can play the bingo board how you want to. That's your business. If you want to do 4 corners, you want to do the diagonals, vertical, horizontal. Maybe you want to go for blackout. You'll be able to work through these bingo boards for test anxiety starting anywhere from 2 weeks before the actual assessment to the day of, all the way through. It'll be different tasks. There's different tasks on there for you to do. Okay. So just again, like we're super serious about how math and SEL need each other. They're connected. You have your very best results. Your results are maximized, amplified when we make sure to integrate them. When SEL has its place in the math classroom, not just something else to do. All right. So again, thank you all for joining today. Let me give y'all a sneak peek. I said I was, let me give you just a quick sneak peek. There you go. It's coming out, you all. Next week, we also have, so next week, this time, we are doing a webinar. So make sure you've clicked the link in the bio to sign up for that. Equation for success. Again, we're boosting math skills. It's not this or that. I told y'all I'm a both and person. Okay. So we're boosting math skills with SEL. Because of SEL, math goes further, right? Math means more and is retained more. So y'all saw the sneak peek, but again, y'all, it's a game changer. If you're ready for more, be ready and on the lookout for those tools that you just got the sneak peek for. And make sure you signed up for the webinar next week. Before you go, y'all, please do drop a light bulb in the chat, or you can type aha if you walked away with a new insight. Okay. And again, I'll see you next week. Next week, this time will be the webinar. Can't wait to chat with you, learn some things, bring your notebook. Let's go. Bye-bye.